The Greek Orthodox Church traces its origins to the Apostle Andrew in the 1st century, and with 25 million members worldwide, including 1.5 million in the United States, it continues to be a vital witness in the 21st century. In 2018, His Eminence Metropolitan Nathanael succeeded His Eminence Metropolitan Iakovos as head of the 58 Greek Orthodox parishes and 2 monasteries in Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, as well as northern Indiana and southeastern Missouri. Metropolitan Nathanael, thank you for joining us. It's an honor to have you on our program.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Tell us a little bit about your faith journey and what brought you to Chicago.
Well, I think my faith journey began in a small little village in Greece, Kokinochori, in the middle of nowhere. I was born there, and my house was right next to the church. And people tell me as a little boy, I would always say I wanted to be a priest when I grow up because I wanted to ring the church bell and give people bread. Eventually, my parents brought me to America. I grew up in New York. And like most young adults and teenagers, the church took a seat on the back burner for a while. When I was 14 years old, my father was sick with cancer, and eventually he passed away when I was 16. I think my faith journey, I could probably say that it began on that day in July in Greece. In my village where my father passed away. And for me, it was a very important time because my father, who was a person not very much interested in the faith, rarely went to church, not even on Easter or Christmas. He sought out a priest 3 days before he passed away, and he asked to receive the sacrament of confession and the Holy Eucharist. So as a 16-year-old kid, shocked, that my father had passed away, but even more shocked that my father spoke to a priest. The last person he spoke to was the priest. It got me thinking about life and the importance of the church and what the church has to offer me as a teenager growing up. And I would say when I was around 19 years old, as then a college freshman, I started to think about my calling, my vocation, and what I would do the rest of my life. And I had my first confession at 19 years old. I received the sacrament of confession, and I felt great joy, great pressure lifted off of my shoulders. And at that moment, it was very clear that I wanted to be used as an instrument of God's healing and mercy as a priest. So I think that kind of brings us to the priesthood. And as you said, 2 years ago, after His Eminence Metropolitan Iakovos died, I was elected to succeed him as the Metropolitan of Chicago.
How do you think your father would feel, or knowing where you are today in your faith?
I think my father is very proud, I can say. I miss him. I wish he were around to see me ordained and for me to have those experiences with him. But I do think that we believe that there's resurrection. So I think he is looking down upon me and is happy. And I have his blessing, so that's what counts.
Tell us a little bit about your role, maybe our viewers who don't know the hierarchy of the Greek Orthodox Church and what the Metropolitan does.
Sure. I mean, our central headquarters, our spiritual center, is in Constantinople, often referred to as Istanbul nowadays. The Ecumenical Patriarch is our spiritual leader. He is the first of Orthodox hierarchs. And we have eparchies or metropolises or regions, ecclesial dioceses around the world. In the United States, there are 9 metropolises that make up our archdiocese, our Archdiocese of America. And I happen to be the metropolitan of those 6 states that you mentioned. I oversee the Greek Orthodox Christians in these regions. I am their hierarch, their shepherd. I oversee the governance and the spiritual needs of our parishes.
So when you were elected and you came to Chicago, what were your first steps? What strategic plans did you make? I understand you did a lot of listening around the parishes.
Yeah, when I first arrived in Chicago, I realized that there was a lot that I didn't know. There's still a lot that I don't know about Chicago and the metropolis of Chicago, but initially I wanted to go out and listen to people, to ask them questions, to have them ask me questions, and from their questions kind of understand more of their needs and concerns. So we visited 12 regions of our metropolis, 12 parishes, hosted our listening tour. Mm-hmm. It lasted for about 5 months. It showed me that not only is the metropolis of Chicago very much different than other metropolises around the country, but each state and even each parish has particular concerns that are important enough to know the nuances in their particular concerns. We also launched a strategic plan. So once I listened to the people, I then invited them to participate in the future of our metropolis. So we launched a strategic plan. It included the participation of about 500 of our people initially, and we have currently about 300 people participating in it now. Wow. In the kind of planning and implementation phase. So those two things were very, very important for me and our metropolis for the kind of long-term future and vision of our metropolis. But there were things that we needed to do immediately. Including kind of putting in some best practices and that can control some of the internal challenges that we were encountering.
How are you attracting young people? I know a lot of denominations, a lot of ecumenical partners are facing this issue right now, is trying to attract younger generations and to bring them to religion.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and as you said, all religions are facing this issue. More and more young people are choosing to associate with no religion, and it doesn't really necessarily shock me. If you look around, the world is changing rapidly, and so it's understandable that young people are confused or looking for the next best thing. For me personally, I think young people are a little more attracted to, aren't afraid to come to me or approach me because of my youth. I mean, that we share a lot in common. I kind of understand what they're talking about. But I think what's vital, if we're going to approach our youth and ask them to consider getting involved or embracing faith, it's important for us, the leaders, parents, church leaders, the priests, the bishops, those who believe and those who are in the church, to really be authentic in our faith, to embrace our faith first and foremost, so that they don't see in front of them hypocrites. If they see their bishop trying his best, even if he fails, even if he falls short of the goal, if they can see that I'm doing my best and sincere about that, mm-hmm. I think that that's important. I won't let them down then. I don't think that our kids want us to be perfect, but they want us to be authentic and sincere. And if we're sincerely worshiping Christ and believe in Him, then hopefully they can be inspired by that.
So you started at the age of 39, probably one of the younger metropolitans. You talked a little bit about the advantages of that being relatable mm-hmm. to our younger generation. Are there any challenges to being a younger metropolitan?
Yeah, I mean, I was elected when I was 39. Actually, it was yesterday. Just yesterday, 2 years ago, I was elected at 39 years old. And it's a great joy to be 39 and to have this great responsibility given to me. Yes, I am. I suppose I'm a little more relatable as a younger person to the youth. The older folks, the parents, see hope in that youth. They kind of see hope for their kids. The challenges are, I mean, there are many challenges. First of all, I'm still learning. I think a hierarch, a bishop who's been shepherding for 10, 15, 20 years obviously knows much more than I do through their experience. But other challenges include trying to do everything right away and not knowing how to pace myself. So I'm still learning how to do that, how to kind of make people's expectations a little more realistic for them and for me. Because, as they say, Rome wasn't built in one day, and hopefully God will, I don't know how many years of service I'll have, but hopefully it's not a one-off. I'm trying my best to be slow and steady and consistent and not a supernova, as some people say, and are afraid that I'm going to burn out very quickly because of my energy. So trying to take it slow a little bit. Yeah. Balance, yeah. Act when I need to. When there's a need and an urgent need to respond to something, do so wholeheartedly and with as much energy as needed, but then to slowly kind of pace myself and look at the long-term vision and goals of our metropolis. So as a 41-year-old now, I'm still learning how to do that, and hopefully I'm getting better at it with each passing day.
Well, what excites you about the Orthodox Church in the 21st century?
Oh boy. Well, I think the Orthodox Church in general, faith excites me. I think we are living in an age where people are asking questions, people have access to information, people, doubt very easily, people believe very easily. There's a flooding of data. We have more information at our fingertips today than any time in the world, and I think Orthodoxy is a presence in the world that says, look, it's not just up here, but it's also in their heart. So for me, Orthodoxy has the opportunity to come in and capture people's attention, bring them to Christ, kind of show them that there is more than just news, more than just information. There's the experience of the resurrection. There's the experience of overcoming death. And I think young people are looking for hope. And not just young people, all people. I think more and more they're let down by worldly leaders time and time again. And so the church has the opportunity, using new skills and new techniques and new technologies, but to bring that universal message of hope and life to the world. So I'm really excited about it.
One of the issues that has come up with the Greek Orthodox Church, environmental stewardship. Tell us a little bit about that and your plans and your passion behind that.
Sure. I think for the Orthodox Church, ecumenical or the environmental stewardship is, as you say, is very important for us. It's part of our theology of the incarnation, part of our soteriology. We don't kind of separate the environment and God's creation from everything else that we do as Orthodox. It's central, actually. Our ecumenical patriarch is often referred to as the Green Patriarch. He is the first major world religious leader to speak about the importance of caring for the environment, for praying for the environment, for protecting the environment. And we really believe that abusing the environment is nothing less than sin. It's a violation of God's gift to us. It's a distortion of creation. And it has not just physical effects. It doesn't just affect the world in a physically negative way, but it has an effect on our souls. So for us and for our metropolis, we do our best to remind people that everything we do should be very mindful of the world around us. Obviously, our neighbors, human neighbors, but also all the rest of the created world.
How important is it to build ecumenical partners here in the Chicago metropolitan area?
Yeah, I think Chicago, even as a priest in New York, I knew that Chicago, the metropolitan area, had strong ecumenical friendships and partnerships. And so when I came in to Chicago, I knew I needed to do whatever I could to continue that. I know my predecessor, Metropolitan Iakovos, was a leader in this area. It is a priority for me. I was the ecumenical officer of our archdiocese while in New York, and so I believe that we have to have a common witness, especially in the public square. We can't just be comfortable in our own churches, in our own congregations, or in our own communities. That's not enough. We have to be together on the bigger issues. We have to have a common voice. And so for me, it's a priority. As I said before, I have to pace myself and kind of not place myself in every setting without being able to deliver. So we are, I have a number of priests who are my representatives so that we can have a presence at various meetings and events. But for me personally, on the highest level, when there is something going on in the metropolitan area, I want to be there and I want to contribute.
What is the message you would like to share with your parishioners, your main message?
Well, I want to tell them that I'm here for them. I want to tell them that I love them. I want to tell them that I'm sorry if I've let them down at any time in the last 2 years, that I will keep doing my best to continue to serve them. And my goal is to help bring them closer to Christ.
Thank you, Your Eminence, for joining us. It was a great honor to have you on our program.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Thanks for having me. It was a great honor for me.
I'm Anne-Marie Gerhardt for Different Drummers and the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.